Hola amigos, this is level 12 and today we are going to be asking ourselves, why can't Lolitas be lovely? Now we ask this rhetorically, and I'm not shaming Lolitas, this is a general question that a bunch of people ask. Why can't Lolitas be lovely? Or why aren't Lolitas lovely? And this question is asked in a very derogatory way after someone has had what they would consider a rude interaction with a Lolita, specifically a sweet Lolita, which we will get into. So I'm today going to be defending Lolitas and explain why a Lolita may act rude or bitter to someone based off interactions, past reasonings, and etc. So, the misconception is many people believe that because specifically sweet or cute Lolitas or anything that is super hyper feminine, of course, there are Lolitas like Gothic Lolita, and there's Goro, and there's like other versions of Lolita fashion that aren't super hyper feminine and pastel-y and pink, but today specifically we're going to be talking about sweet Lolitas. So many people believe that because Lolitas dress extremely femininely and very cute, that they must act and behave in a way that reflects the fashion, such as, like, if you dress in all pastel colors, then you must have a very cheery, bubbly personality, when in reality you could, like, listen to hardcore rock metal music and just be jamming out and being like, I hate the world, but I love the cute colors. That can also happen. And when they do not reflect this personality or this thought of personality or this judgment someone has found in their head, because they aren't cardboard cutouts of personality, then people feel offended and think Lolitas are catty and mean, which is not true. It's just based off prior interactions and possibly how someone has interacted with them at that current second. They get snarky and do not want to interact, because Lolitas put up with a lot of stuff, especially sweet Lolitas, because of the innocent and feminine look that they give off. It's because that's what the fashion is. Lolita in general is very innocent, very cute, should I say, fashion. Now granted, there are, again, the Gothic and the Goro Lolitas that dress heavily in black, look very not like this, but sweet Lolitas, as we'll be talking about specifically, they wear a lot of pastel colors, a lot of pink, a lot of sweets like macaroons, donuts, pastries, things like that. Those are often common in prints, or just like cute animals, cute things. It all looks very. The point of it is to be cute and to look sweet and to have a very innocent cupcake kind of look, if I'm explaining it correctly. I'm trying to avoid certain words, and we'll get into those words in a second, because it's something the Lolita community, especially the sweet Lolita community, is trying to get away from, but it's all, think, very, like, sweet prints, like animals, tea parties, flowers, roses. If you can see in the pictures, lots of candy, lots of very wholesome things. So why are some Lolitas bitter then? When some people, I've interacted with two Lolitas personally, and they were both very nice. They both had very cute cords, and I meant to buy a necklace from one of them. I forgot to do that, and I regret that decision. But nonetheless, hopefully she comes back. So some Lolitas are bitter because of rude interactions with people just for wearing the fashion, and some of these I'll include links below to videos by Lovely Lore and Tyler from last week Lolita News, describing instances where some of these things have happened, because I don't have evidence of it myself, but they do, and I'll link their videos. So demanding photos, like, because when people that don't know what Lolita fashion is, when they see people in Lolita fashion, they think, oh, they must be in costume or they must be princesses, and they will demand photos. And even if the Lolitas say, no, I'm not really feeling it, or no, I don't want my photo taken, because some wear it for themselves just to look cute or pretty, and like, go get your jush, whatever. And it's annoying and scary to have someone demanding a photo when you've told them no, and they're like, I'm gonna take it anyway. They might be bitter about that, especially like if you ask for a photo and they snap at you like no. It's probably just from past experiences. Just be very polite. Degrading comments such as, you look very childish, or why don't you grow up, or things like that, things that would demean the person. Being followed is kind of common and kind of scary. No one wants that. Some harassment issues by people, especially in the DDLG community, that think because they dress that way and it looks like something a child would wear, not saying that's what they're emulating. They want to look pretty and cute. They don't want to look like children, but some people get in their heads that that's what they want. And it's very gross, very no, please, no. Inappropriate touching and things like that as well. People not understanding the fashion and just being very, like, rude about it, like, you know, some people see it and it's like, oh, is that like a kink or a fetish? And it's very, no, not that. Please, no, God, no, stop. Very, very horrible. And often some Lolitas are very bitter, because sometimes their photos are used without permission on, sissy, on fetish blogs, on Post, on DDLG stuff, and, like, no one wants that. Like, please do not use a Lolita's photo without permission for something like that. I mean, granted, I got my pictures from Instagram, so I hope no one minds I'm using it here, but, just don't do that. And again, being told they need to grow up by strangers, because the fashion, especially Sweet Lolita, a lot of people often say, oh, you're a living doll, or oh, you look very childish. Don't do that. Like, that's very rude. And some Lolitas may act bitter outwardly or seem bitter outwardly because of interactions like this, or maybe you've come across or maybe you yourself came across like this and they were like, no, let me put a pin in it right there. No, none of this, stop. And trying to nip it in the bud. And it's not fair on either side, to be honest, but I really can't blame the Lolitas after being through all this, because, like, if you are still super chipper and lovely like Lore after all of this, I commend you, because I could never be. But there are ways to, like, not have a bitter interaction, and we'll get into those in a second. So there are ways to interact with Lolitas and not have your head on the guillotine, which is oftentimes some people have issues with that. So there are if you see one out on the streets, or you're walking and you see one, or you're at a convention, because the first 2 Lolitas I ever saw were at the last convention I went to, just, like, be very nice, and these are some ways to interact with Lolitas and not have them bite your head off. Compliment their coordinate. Lolita is kind of expensive, and it's kind of hard to cord if you have to mix and match pieces and you can't buy an entire set, because entire sets can go upwards to like $1,000 for, like, the blouse, the JSK, the skirt, the petticoat, the headpiece, the shoes, the tights. All of that can run a real bit of money. And if, like, you can so just complimenting their cord, complimenting something you like, say you like their headpiece or their skirt or the print or how they've, like, coordinated the blouse, and, like, just compliment their cord. If you want a picture, politely ask. Do not immediately take the picture without asking first. This goes for, like, anyone, but, like, please politely ask. And sometimes they'll say no, and if they say no, you have to respect that decision and move on and don't press. Because if you do that, you seem very creepy and very rude and unrespecting of boundaries. So just don't be weird. And if you're super curious about the print, or maybe you've never seen this specific style of Lolita, because some style of Lolitas is not exactly common, like Minhara, Goro, steampunk. I don't see a lot of steampunk Lolita. You can ask about it. I'm sure if they're not in a rush, they'd be happy to tell you, or they could point you to some sources, some articles, some blogs that would explain the fashion if they don't have time. And it's a great way to open conversation, and if you're not sure if it's Lolita or cosplay or some other kind of sub-J fashion, then they'll be happy to explain. Avoid words and phrases that demean the fashion or the person wearing it. These go back into words I was trying to avoid, such as little girl, living doll, young, princess. Now, I'm not entirely sure how princess works, because I have heard there's Princess Lolita, or, like, Princess Lolita dresses, and I know there's princess lace and princess cuts. As someone who sews, I know those things exist. I just be wary about some of the words you use, because there is a brand called Royal Princess Alice, and I think there's another princess brand. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, there has to be another princess brand. Child, dress up. They are like it. I think dress up depends on the context. Like, dress up as in like, oh, you're dressing up to go to the tea party, or dress up as in trying on clothes and like playing. I don't context. Also avoid cosplay again if you're not sure, because there are like shows like Rose and Maiden and Chobits where the characters do dress in seemingly Lolita fashion. Just ask, like, be wary on the words you use. Also, don't call it a costume. Lolita fashion is fashion. It had, or it still has, I'm not entirely sure, its own magazine, brands, all of this stuff. It's more than a costume or a cosplay. It is a fashion, and some people just wear it because they like it. It makes them feel pretty. And just like, finally, show common human decency. I feel like a lot of things could be avoided if common human decency was shown, but sometimes it is not, and that's a problem. Just like, be respectful, like, don't be rude, don't like say mean things, just like, be a good human being. For some of us, that's very hard, and I don't understand why, but just be nice. Like, it's not hard, okay? Just be nice. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video and y'all found it a little informative, because I think for some people it's a little bit of a shock to see that people that dress in super hyper feminine and super cute clothing don't act like little airheads. Shocker. I don't know why people get that in their heads. Like, I dress like a hobo all the time, except I love like horror movies and stuff. I dress in like cute anime t-shirts all the time, and yet I love like really brutal horror movies. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, just be nice. Don't be jerks. And I hope this helps y'all understand that sometimes Lolitas aren't as sweet as they appear to be because of horrible interactions. Anyways, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for more random fandom things. Ciao, chicos.